Welcome to Beyond the Game, Cotulla Backroads and Ball Games. I'm your host, Sanchez. Here we don't just talk sports. We tell the stories behind the hustle, the heart, and the hometown heroes. From Pee-wee dreams to Friday night lights, from dusty back roads to championship runs, this is where the past meets the present and the game becomes a legacy. This is Beyond the Game, Cotulla Backroads and Ball Games. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Game, Cotulla Backroads and Ball Games, where the past meets the present and the game becomes a legacy. I'm your host, Sanchez, and today's episode features a Cotulla athlete who has lifted his way into history books. From Cotulla High School all the way to the national stage, we're talking about the journey of a young man who embodies hard work, grit, and faith. He's a former state champion and just recently became a collegiate national champion in powerlifting. Today, we're honored to have Kaleb Linares on the show. Let's jump into his incredible journey and see what it takes to go from small-town lifter to national powerhouse. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce Mr. Kaleb Linares.
What's going on, guys?
Mr. Kaleb, so how are you doing?
Doing pretty good.
All right, so first, let's start off, what school are you currently attending for your collegiate career?
So I currently attend Midland University there in Fremont, Nebraska. Small little town, kind of like Uvalde. It's about 20 minutes from the nearest city, Omaha, Nebraska. I'm there. I just recently started renting a house with a few of my buddies there, so I'll be moving into that house next week. So I'll be leaving next week. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now is Nebraska, in the middle of nowhere, really.
So you didn't really escape like small town living, huh?
No, not at all.
Just a different state.
I went from mesquite trees to cornfields, basically.
Not a bad jump, man. Not a bad jump at all.
Yeah.
All right, Kaleb. So, let's start off with the early beginnings of, what first drew you to powerlifting?
I guess really, at least here in Cotulla, we start working out in the seventh grade for, football, league football. So, I started working out in the seventh grade and I realized I was a pretty big kid, I don't know. At the time, I was probably 5'5" maybe, but I broke 200 pounds when I was a sixth grader. So I never knew if I should have been, happy that, dang, I made this new milestone, like I'm going to get bigger, or I was like, maybe I need to slow down. I'm pretty big, but, I started working out seventh grade, eighth grade, and then I got into it my freshman year, just from working out, football workouts. And then I got offered from Coach Ramos and our late and great Coach Bettis. They were the powerlifting coaches at the time. They really pushed me to do it because I guess they saw something that, that I could have done great. And, I started from, the bottom. I was a JV powerlifter. I was barely squatting, 360 in the suit and wraps, and I was barely benching 225. I was barely deadlifting 315, and I started off, at the bottom. I would go to meets and I would get last place. I was in the second flights. I wasn't even in first flights. I was in the second flights, and I would get last place in those, and yeah, that's really how I started, was just, from the bottom, and, my freshman year, really.
Oh, so you're a testament of learning from failure.
Yeah, exactly.
Failure.
Yes. Yeah. I hated being last. I always looked at like other guys, like we had Eli Gonzalez and Andrew Velasquez there. When I was a freshman, they were juniors, I believe, and they were powerlifters, and they were, Andrew Velasquez was, he was a beast in the weight room. This guy would just walk in there, and he would bench 315 for a couple reps like it was nothing. And Eli Gonzalez was he was an absolute monster when he would squat. He was like a 600-pound squat at the time, and it was me, a little 15-year-old, like I I want to do that, but I just didn't know where to start. And, it was just, I guess, like you said, a testament of, I don't want to keep failing. I want to get better. I want to get better at this.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And obviously you grew from it. So, you know, take his first competition, your first lift. Was the competition like, or getting into the sport? Was it love at first lift, or was it something that kind of slowly grew onto you?
You know, that's hard because when I first started, my freshman year, I mean, my first meet, I believe we went to this big meet in San Antonio at TSS, big old gym over there, and there was, I don't know, three, 300 kids in this small packed, gym. And
Dang,
I mean, they ran 8 platforms with all the weight classes. And I mean, just to get warm-ups in and to, really be on your own, because it was me and Andrew that were in the same weight class at the time. I was a 242 lifter, and it was just me and him. But he was on a different flight, so I was really like on my own. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, I was nervous. I remember, I was puking and like it was terrible. I was like, there's no way. Like, I'm gonna. There's so many people. I was just bombarded, but once I got out and I had Coach Ramos, he wrapped my legs, and um, I want to say my first opening squat was like it was like 360 maybe. I mean, nothing really. That's nothing to me now, but I mean, at that time it was something huge, for me. And I guess once I got that first squat, it was really just like, okay, I can hang on, I can do this, I'm fine.
for sure. And what do you call it? You were a freshman. Is this something you started freshman year?
I was a freshman year, yes, yes, freshman.
That's awesome, man. And what do you call it, man? But going to a lift like that, how do you compare that lift to your first or that first powerlifting meet to your first varsity football game?
Oh man, I mean that is like going in. I mean, I was nervous, I was puking, and I was just like, man, all these guys are bigger than me. Like, how am I going to compete with these guys? And for powerlifting at least, and then for football, I was a little bigger at the time when we had a different district, and I mean we'd still go against guys that were way bigger than me. And I was starting defense at least. I was a nose guard, and my job was just to plug up both A gaps. And with that, it was just I can hang on because I'm big enough to where I'm not going to try and get moved or anything.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, but I was still nervous with football too. I mean, going in, everyone's has their music playing, and I mean, me, trying to lock in, and me, I was just like, please, like, don't mess up, don't make a fool of yourself, don't embarrass yourself. Your dad's out there, your family's out there. Um, just don't get put on your butt.
Yeah, you're in your own thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you mentioned Coach Ramos and Mr. Gabe were your first mentor. Were they your coaches throughout all 4 years?
So
Or
my freshman year, I had Coach Ramos and Coach Perez, and then my
okay,
sophomore year, I believe it was still Ramos, and I believe Coach Perez stepped aside to do baseball.
hmm,
And then my junior year, I had Coach Mark De Hoyas. He was my junior year coach. And then my senior year, that's when we had uh, Coach Rodriguez. He was
okay.
my senior year coach. Him and Steven Mendoza,
Oh, okay,
and then
okay,
and then Caleb Luna when he was here, the assistant coach.
okay. So you had quite a bit of coaches that were pushing you
Yeah,
throughout
yeah.
the
I went through everyone. Yeah,
way.
yeah.
So aside from powerlifting and football, what are some? Were those the only two extracurriculars that you participated in, or were
So
you
I
in
did. I
FFA?
did. Yeah, I was in FFA. I was on the barbecue team.
Nice.
Starting my junior year. I did shot put and discus
Okay.
till my junior year. I would just do it just to get out of school, really. I mean, they needed fillers on the team, so I didn't care if I was a junior on JV. I would just go and throw the shot put just to get out of school and go eat the free Dairy Queen meal. Try to earn points for the team. Um, I was in band also. I was in mariachi my freshman and sophomore year. I did that. I was in band all 4 years. Um, I believe that's it, really. I mean, besides football and powerlifting, really, it was FFA, but barbecue team. I was on the barbecue team.
Okay.
Um, Yeah, band, mariachi, yeah, all that.
So you stayed busy aside from trying to train for this kind of stuff. You're
Yeah,
a
yeah,
typical Cotulla student, or for or Cotulla athlete, right? Most of us usually try to do more than just one thing.
yeah, yeah. Try
I
to stay
wasn't a
busy.
band, but I try to do every other sport and every other thing that you could possibly do because there ain't much in this town, huh?
Yeah, no, not much to do. No, not much. No, not at all. I mean, I remember when I was in high school, I always had, Jesse or Joseph tell me to play basketball just to do screens. And I would remember coming out of practice and watching them do suicides, and I'm like, well, if I'm gonna just do screens, I'm not gonna do suicides and nothing like that. I remember them trying and trying and trying to get me, and I was like, no way, I'm not doing that.
And the five foul guy, go and get five fouls.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But those are always fun to have. So now you started your high school powerlifting career. You obviously said that you started in middle school, kind of finding the love for lifting, which to me it's hard. It's hard, especially kind of trying to stay disciplined in the weight room. Which is I think we're all most coaches have that problem, right? Trying to fill up that weight room with athletes, but you found the love for it. Um, so when would you say high school powerlifting got serious for you?
So, really, it really got serious for me. Well, it started my freshman year. It was my last meet. We had our try meet, which was us, Cotulla, Dilly, and Pearsall. The last meet, and of course, I was just JV lifter. I was going there to, you know, just to do see what I can do. But I figured, I gotta leave here with something, and I gotta show myself that I can hang around all these guys. And I figured, why not show my bench? I remember it was my last bench, and I have video of it, and Ramos is there. I'm setting up my shirt, and they load up 315. I didn't touch anything over 290 that whole year, but I was just like, let's try it, let's see what happens. And I remember me getting in my zone, I'm getting mad, and I remember Ramos is telling me like, he's like, "Oh, you're up." I was like, "Yes, sir, I'm up." And I have Adrian Perales helping me get my shirt on, and he's like, "Three plates." I was like, "Yes, sir, three plates." He's like, "All right." And I remember setting up on the bench, and you see him in the video, like, "Three plate club, three plate club." And I see him in the video, he's like, shakes his head like that. There's no way. And I remember getting it off. It was big. It was big. Javi Sugar that lifted me off, and I took it down. I got the press command, and I mean, I blew it out the water like someone couldn't have taken it faster. And
Dang.
he was just like real, like surprised. And I guess that's really where it lit fire in me, where I could do something with this. And going to my sophomore year, I mean, I was the big dog on campus already. I was, I was doing two a days for workouts. I'd go at 5 o'clock before school, and then after school I'd do football workouts, and then go back to the gym at 8, 9 o'clock at night to finish my auxiliaries or compounds. And I mean, I ended up making it to regionals my sophomore year, and I ended up squatting my first ever 600-pound squat was at regionals there in Bishop.
Golly.
And I was, I don't know, 16, I believe at the time, maybe 15, 16, my sophomore year, and I benched, I believe, 350, and I only pulled 460, I think.
Jeez, dude, only.
Yeah, yeah, only, yeah, yeah.
So let's see. One thing you said is that you know, you or what would you say? You see, I think in the questionnaire, right? You said you still hold the record for squat. Is that
Oh
correct?
yeah, yeah. Yes, I still had the squat record for the state. Yes.
Golly, was that something you ever aimed for, or was there like a milestone that you were kind of shooting for throughout your career?
So really that started my junior year at state, because I was going back and forth with the guy who won. His name was Christopher Rodriguez. He was actually from Heavenville, and I was real close to him at regionals. I was pushing numbers that I didn't know I could hit to try and beat him. Of course, I wasn't able to beat him. He whipped out this brand new, bench daddy that they just came out with. They weren't even sold yet, but their coach is real good with the owner of Bench Daddy, so they got those shirts. And then at state, um, me and him were really going back and forth, and I didn't know it at the time, but the record for squat was only 750. So I believe I opened up with 675, I jumped to 740, and then I jumped to 765, and I beat because he broke the record at 755, and then I went and broke it at 765, and right there I was like, okay, I can hold on to this, and then he later goes, he's the next guy up and he breaks it with 780 or 770 actually.
Dang.
So at this moment I was like, well, this is my thing, I'm a big squat guy, so I love doing like leg days and I love squatting, so I'm like, I gotta get this back.
So right away, that's whenever you went for that 800, so later on, right?
Yeah, I mean 800 really wasn't even in my mind really until my senior year. I mean, when I got to, all my regular meets here, regular meets. I mean, I only did, two regular meets my out of the four or five really out of the season, because I was already pushing weight. I was already ranked number one in the state, and in the region, during the whole time, and I pushed weight here at our Cotulla meet, and then I ended up breaking the regional record at the Dilly meet with 750. That was my senior year, and then regionals came, and I have this buddy of mine who's a good friend of mine now. His name is Laverius Gage. He was from Goliad. He was from Goliad, Texas. Real nice kid. He was awesome. I went against him literally all 4 years of my college or my high school career, and he ended up beating me at regionals. So he had a really good pull, a really really
Dang.
good pull, and I really messed up on my deadlifts. I took that time off of my deadlifts, and we were going back and forth. He tried taking the squat record from me. I ended up squatting 775 at regionals. He tried going 785, didn't get it. I ended up benching 480. I tried 500, I couldn't get it. I I lost my wrist and went back, and then
Ooh.
I only ended up pulling 500 pounds, and I only did my first attempt and I let it go, and then he ended up doing all three attempts, and he beat me by, it was like 10 pounds my regional meet.
Dang. So you were right there. You're already still pacing. I mean, you're
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I had plenty of room to grow, and I had plenty of room to, like, I wasn't really trying to max out that meet, or I was just trying to get my numbers, get my placing, and because the real show was at state. I
yeah,
was I
for
was
sure.
really gonna show what I had at state.
Yeah, I was looking up the state records, and I don't. Let me see if I can share it right here. You're still there.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see. Let's see. I think I can share my screen. There it is. See if it'll pop up on our deal. It does. There it is. Now, if I could zoom in, am I allowed to zoom in? No, I am allowed. There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go. Right there.
Yeah, I still
Kaleb
have it.
Linares,
Yeah.
800 pounds, dude. That's insane.
Yes, sir. And I actually had the total record at 870. But I guess I didn't even know it got broken this past meet with 1885. That's awesome though.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, kid out of Randolph too. Wow,
Yeah, Randolph, yes.
man. So take us through. Were there any meets that kind of stuck out the most to you aside from regionals and the state meet?
I mean, meets that really stuck out to me really was, I believe it was my sophomore year, it was COVID year. Um, it was one of our first meets. We went and did it in Somerset. We did it in Somerset, and there was this one kid. I mean, he was probably 5'4", maybe, short, stubby kid, but I mean, he was squatting 700 pounds, and he was benching like 500 pounds, and he deadlifted close to six, and big old kid. And I remember
Golly.
me going there, and I was like, man, well, there's like no one here. I mean, it's COVID, there's not going to be anybody there. It was quiet gym. I'm like, how in the world am I supposed to, like, lift weights and get through all this, doing all this
Just
when there's nothing
silence.
there really? So, I mean, I guess, that meet really stuck with me, because I was like, this meet was really, not to say it wasn't nothing, but I was just like in awe that all this was going on.
Yeah,
And
for
then
sure.
my junior year, I mean, I don't really even remember meets my junior year. That flew by. because I didn't really show what I had till my senior year. And I guess the meet that stuck out to me my senior year was our dilly meet. We went to Dilly and because they hosted and we went and competed over there and they had a guy over there doing they had Pearsall actually had their MTV little crew there and they were videoing everyone and giving interviews and I didn't even know what they were doing, but I saw the big old camera when they announced me on the loudspeaker saying, Kaleb Linares is going to attempt to break the regional record at a squat of 750, and I remember hearing that, taking off my AirPods, and I was trying to get myself mad, and I ended up doing it pretty it was pretty hard. If I remember, it was pretty. It was a grinder, really. I remember after both my eyes were popped and I was
Ooh,
bloodshot and um my face was popped with freckles and but I
golly,
mean
dude.
I liked that meet because they really they put me on the spot and I was very humble at the point, but I enjoyed I mean the whole crowd. I remember after they were just everyone was standing up and cheering me and I was like I just all I did was go up and down really because in my mind it was like it's only 750 pounds really, it's not what I want but it's what I got today. And so I guess that meet as a regular meet, that dilly meet really stuck out to me.
Yeah, having that fun little spotlight on you for a moment.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was really awesome.
That's dope, man. That's something hopefully that we can get to eventually with our channel. So could you take us to your routine, your training routine whenever you were in high school?
So when I was in high school, I mean, I didn't really have a routine until really I was a junior because freshman, sophomore year, I would just go just to work out, get it done. I'd cut reps and everything because I mean, I was tired and I was a big guy. Like I can't keep doing this. So I would just go to because we would do football and then we'd have powerlifting, and I
Mm.
was always tired. I'd always be dead. I mean, and then I had to go through summer workouts, and really my routine didn't hit till I was a junior. And of course, it's not until I talked to my dad and he was telling me like, you have all these numbers right now. Like, imagine what you can do your junior year. Imagine how if you keep going, what you can do your senior year. So he really pushed me to, try. He bought me a weight set. I actually sold it recently because I don't need it anymore. I'm not here. They opened up F4, so I go to F4. But I mean, I had, a squat rack, a bench in there, a little deadlift platform with 500 pounds of weight. So I'd be in there in the morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, working out, lifting weights. Before school, I'd go to school. And then after school, I'd do powerlifting practice. I'd work out there. And then, sometimes if I didn't feel like I did enough, I'd go back here and I'd do just a couple accessories to get a pump and then go to sleep and, repeat it the next day.
Golly, dude.
Yeah.
Your body was going through it.
Yeah, it was, and I figured, like I should probably tone it back a little bit if I'm going this hard and this heavy. But then, of course, through research and I was real big into it. I was always watching powerlifters compete, and I was always watching strongman and what they do. And I mean, big inspiration I have is Ronnie Coleman. I mean, he'd
Yeah.
go work out, or yeah, Ronnie Coleman and Arnold Schwarzenegger. They'd go work out in the morning and at night. Hardcore. And I was like, man, like I want to be like that. Like, not ripped and cut, but I mean, I want to be strong, like how they were.
Yeah, for sure.
So I mean, I was young. I still am. I was young and I would still be, I could recover quicker. And, I tried it and it worked for me at least.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
So aside from your coaches kind of helping you out, at the physical aspect, how would they prepare you? Would they ever, kind of go through something like for like mentally, like to mentally prepare you, or
You know, like at the high school level or college?
at the high school level?
The high school level, not really. I mean, we would just go there just to really just have fun and just lift weights. I mean, um, it was just for us, it was just because Cotulla's never really been big, powerlifters. I don't want to say until I got there because there was bigger guys before me, but I had broken, I believe, like an 8 or 9 year drought of any guys going to regionals or state
Yeah.
when I was a junior. I believe I could be wrong, but mentally it was just like you just go in there and push your body, push your body as hard and as far as you can, and let's see where it takes you, really.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you might be right, just because I know Christian graduated around 8 9 years before you, and
Uh,
that might have been the group, but and I could be wrong too. Where because I mean he's obviously my little brother and paid attention to what they were doing, but I don't remember seeing the the highlights or even my biggest thing, the way that to me the way we kind of keep track back then was shirts. So I still have this one right
yes,
here.
yes, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that's all I remember, and I can look back at my closet and I think the last one was him, and then before y'all were starting to make y'all's run your junior year.
Yes, sir.
So was there any well, obviously, right, you had homework, but you would do your own homework. Coaches weren't requiring you to go home and kind of do more. It was strictly just on your own.
No, I mean it was strictly on our own. I mean, we would just go through the I wouldn't say go through the motions, but we had, the coaches to give us a workout plan, and we
Hmm.
do the workout, and then we'd get out, but it really wasn't, it was on my own time where I really, studied technique, and figured out how to breathe and how to brace, and what hinges are on squatting or deadlifting, and where your elbows and where your hand placement needs to be on a bench, and how your back needs to be tight. I learned that, I mean, really the end of my senior year. I would just go, and I'd be like, I'm just gonna muscle it up, because I mean, initially that's what I thought it was really
Yeah.
just going and muscling it up. But once I started researching and watching other people, listening to them and listening to what everyone else had to hear, and I slowly realized, like, this is way bigger than I thought it was.
And what was your biggest, I guess, like where were you learning these? It was YouTube, TikTok,
So it was just a
social
bunch of
media?
YouTube. Yeah, a
Okay,
bunch of YouTube, social media, Instagram. I mean, YouTube was a real big help for me. I don't even believe I got on TikTok till I was in college, I think.
I got
And
you.
then, everyone's on there. Now it's real big with influencers now. But I mean, all these guys are, I mean, they just taking a bunch of drugs and everything, so it's hard to trust people. So I stick
Yeah.
I stick to my regular people. But really, I started looking into, Brian Shaw. He's not a powerlifter, but he was a strongman, really, really good strongman. Powerlifters wise, there's this guy. His name is Jesus Oliveras. He's a four-time world champion, and he lives in San Antonio.
Wow.
There's guys, Ashton Rushka, who won it last year. He lives in San Antonio as well. He married one of the girl teammates we had on our
Oh
team,
wow.
and she was from Natalia.
Dang.
And he's a one-time world champion. And I would watch them, see what they would do, because this Jesus Oliveras guy, I mean, he's a super heavyweight, and he has the world record for squat. I mean, he squats 1,078 raw.
God
I mean,
dang, that's insane.
he's a beast. He's a beast. So, I try to mimic him, and as do what I can with him. And I'm like, I wanna get to that one day. So I'm like, I'm gonna focus on this guy and see what I can do, and learn from him. How does he work out? What does he do? His warm-ups. I really just try to mimic and see what fits best for me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty cool though, that you have kind of local legends to kind of
Yes.
look into and look over and kind of do your own studying. Staying on the subject of studying, was there ever any challenge for you, balancing school and lifting,
I mean, really not. I mean,
high
I
school
would get
wise?
high school wise, no, not really. I mean, I would get all my schoolwork, done during the day, or I had other people do it for me. I mean, I mean, that's literally what I would do. I mean, I would, have my friends help me, and I mean, it was really not a big deal for me, at least. Um, I would study here now and then, but I wasn't a big studier at the time. Um,
Yeah.
but I'd always make time that's why I would actually go to the gym in the mornings, because, I knew after school I would be pretty busy, studying, or, just working or doing other things.
Yeah, that's funny that you say. I mean, because, and that was something that I kind of try to, whenever I get to speak to the seniors or something, just any advice would be try to get a good studying habits because
Yeah.
you know, and I hate to say it, right? They're not so much necessary in high school if you're
Yeah.
good at learning quick, but when it gets to college, you cram so much into one class session and
Yes.
homework that if you don't have those good study habits, it's tough. It's tough to kind of be successful. So, a little
Yes.
tip for
Yes.
everybody
Absolutely.
that's watching. So now let's kind of transition to your collegiate career. So could you explain kind of like the recruiting process for powerlifting and how'd you end up choosing Midland for your landing spot?
So the recruiting process for Midland is really, they open up, they have on their Instagram page, they have a link in there where you can like fill in your information and put in, your weight, your name, your school, GPA, all that, and your workouts. And our head coach, Tim Anderson, looks through that the whole year. He'll follow you throughout your career if he thinks you'd be a good fit, because it's really not just about like how much you lift or anything. It's more about how good of a team player you are.
Yeah,
Because at least with our school, Midland, we're very team oriented, and it's not really just for you're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for everyone else. You know.
yeah,
So the way I got recruited was, I mean, I didn't even know about Midland really. I mean, Jennifer Benavides, she actually got recruited my junior year, so she was up there my senior year, but I didn't really know anything about it. I mean, I was doing my own thing, just trying to make do with high school, because my initial plan was not to go to college or go study. I mean, I was gonna go to Corpus Christi. Me and Damon gonna go to Corpus Christi, and I was gonna do HVAC, and he was gonna do diesel mechanic, and we were just gonna get straight to work.
yeah,
But Jennifer had texted me, asking me that her coach was actually interested in me to compete, and she wanted me to fill out the form. So I said, all right. I didn't think much of it at the time. I said, all right. I filled out the form. I put in my stuff, and I mean, I got a text message from him. I believe 2 days later. I was in the car with
wow,
my mom, and I got a text message from him saying, "Hey, this is Tim Anderson, head coach from Midland University. Do you have time to call?" And I remember looking at my mom like, like, what do I do? She's like, "Well, tell him you have time right now." I, okay. So I remember texting him like, "I have time right now," and he was on the phone with me. We talked probably 15 minutes. He was asking me, my lifts, how's everything going? He was asking me like how good of a team, really like how good of a team player I am,
yeah,
how were you in high school? Just trying to figure me out and see if I was a good fit, at all. But that's what he does. He's not one to, he's not he's not going to shy away from anybody. He's going to give everyone the same opportunity, but he wants to know if you're about it or if you're not about it, really.
yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's kind of a good strategy to have. He's kind of just building. I mean, the way you say a team, a family, that's a team, and
Really,
then it
yeah.
looks like the championships are taking care of themselves.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. I mean,
That's
when you're
awesome.
when he started, I mean, he started the program literally from nothing, and it grew to now we've been, back to back to back to back champions across the board for the past, 6, 7 years. Men's raw, men's females raw, men's equipped, female equipped. I mean, we've been sweeping the board at nationals for the past 6 years.
Wow.
And I mean, when I remember when I stepped in there, I mean, I was just thinking like, there's no way I can hang with these guys.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, I can see why it could be kind of a little shell shock. And
Yeah.
just to clarify for anybody that joined us a little late, you're in Midland, Nebraska, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Midland, Nebraska. Yeah, I
We're not.
still get people that ask me like, "Hey, where do you go to school?" I'm like, "I go to school it's Midland University." So, "Oh, that's in Midland, Texas." No, it's in Fremont, Nebraska. Actually, like Nebraska. I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm not in Texas right now." I still have people thinking I go to school in Texas
Over there in the Dust Bowl.
in the dust. Yeah.
So, were there any significant shifts in training, competition, or even your mindset whenever you transition to the collegiate level?
I mean, really, the shift was going from pound plates to kilos. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, kilos are totally different than pounds. the weight don't even feel the same. It feels a whole lot heavier. And going from the great facility we have here at Cotulla to going to a $200,000 facility we have there at Fremont. I mean, we're full alicoed out with combo racks, deadlift platforms, and as much weight as you're going to need there. I mean, going from here to there, I mean, it was real eye opening, to see that like I have the best equipment. I have literally the best coaches in the world and in this field to coach me and help me. And I mean, another big thing too, aside from that, was leaving home. Really,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 16 hours away from here to go to school. And I remember telling my mom, like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And I remember my mom, she's crying, she was tearing up, like, I don't want you to go, but I know you need to go. I'm like, yeah, I know. I remember my move-in day. I lived in Beagle. It was a building that had no AC. You had to go share restrooms. It was a communal restroom.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you think about it, I mean, Fremont, Nebraska, you don't really even need AC because at night it's
So cool.
55 to 60 degrees. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, you just put a fan at the window and it was fine. But for whatever, I remember me and my roommate, Roger, he's a good friend of mine now. He lives in Houston. He actually won, he actually won nationals his freshman year.
Wow.
He's a good story to tell too. Hopefully I'll talk about him later. We're living there, and me and him didn't even know each other at all. I mean, we're just two strangers, living together. And I remember we would sleep with no blankets, barely any clothes on, because we were sweating and everything. And I mean, it was bad. It was really bad. So that was a big shift. But I remember, we drive up there to college. I leave me in my car that I had, me and my parents who were there. And I remember dropping them off at the airport, saying my goodbyes. And, I was trying to leave all big and, all cool. And I remember when I left, as soon as I left the airport, I just felt tears. And I was like, there's no way I'm doing this. Like, why am I even going this far away from home? And, it was real eye-opening for me because I mean, I've never been away from, my family. I'm real big. I'm a real big, family guy, family man, really. I love being around my family. I love, being around people and, totally leaving all that just to think I have a shot at this powerlifting thing. And, that was a real big, big change.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, it's one thing like to stay in Texas. I mean, even Texas is big, but
Yeah.
16 hours away, that's a drive, dude. That you can't just get lonely and be like, you know what, I'm gonna go see my parents because
Yeah.
that's a whole day that you're spending on the road,
Yeah. Yeah. And,
man.
there'll be times too where, I have, I'm off Friday for school and I'm off Monday. And I remember this was this past Wild Hog, and I told my mom, like, I'm just gonna come home. She's like, "Are you sure? Like, can you do that?" I was like, "Yeah, I can do that." I remember after school, Friday, Thursday, I left. I traveled through Friday. I stayed. It was a whole full 16 hours. I had woken up at 9 o'clock in the morning that Thursday for class, and I didn't sleep till that Friday night. So I was up for close to 48 hours, and I slept,
Golly.
went to Wild Hog, and had my fun, and then went to church. And after church, I hit the road back and got back over here. But now that I think about it, it was pretty dumb because I was pretty tired, and
Sleep deprived.
I was actually in my nationals prep, and it didn't affect me. But now that I think about it, it was a pretty dumb decision. But I still got to come home and enjoy my wild hog that I haven't enjoyed for the past, man, 4 years really.
Wow. Golly.
Yeah.
So you talk about the coaching, the facilities, and just the overall environment being, well, because my thing is I always thought Cotulla had a good weight room, especially
Yeah.
from what I came from. that
Yes,
place
sir.
was that place was horrible. But explained that there was, I guess it's just, I mean, well, is that what the school is known for? Is that kind of why they pour money into it, or no?
Really, really not. I mean, Midland University, it's a sports school, really. I mean, I believe it's like 85% of the kids that are athletes. I mean,
Wow.
we have 32 or 33 varsity sports on campus, real small school. but we're not really known for our powerlifting because no one really knows about it there at the school. I mean, the school pays attention to football, basketball. Our dance team is really good. Our golf team, our swim team is really good. Really, I mean, Midland's actually a really good school for really across the board.
That's
Um,
pretty cool.
yeah, but no, I mean, the school actually came to Tim and told him they want to build up this program because it was falling behind. So, Tim said, okay, we want to do this, I need this. He listed his stuff, and I mean, it grew really from there since 2016.
Dang, they made it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if you can see these, but we're getting comments, along the way. I seen your mom, your pops,
Oh,
commenting.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Got my little brother Koke. Um, right here we got one as a collegiate lifter. How was the dieting, or is there any dieting?
I mean, me being a bigger guy, I fill in my weight class. I'm a light 140, so I'm a light 308. I mean, I'm walking around at 280. I go to sleep at 285. So my dieting is really just I try to eat, a lot of protein. So I try to eat around 250 grams of protein a day. And really, what I do is I eat a lot of pork chops because they're cheap. I do a lot of pork chops, a lot of mashed potatoes. Yeah, I mean, you can go to I go to Lowe's here, and it's you can get like 6 or 7 inch cut um pork chops, and they're $5-6, and I it takes me probably 2-3 days to go through that. I eat a lot of mashed potatoes. I cook my own rice here. I mean, but but I eat really just whatever I want. You know.
Yeah. So you're not having to do like a strict diet.
Yeah, no, but I have guys actually up there that they're really about it because all they eat is chicken, rice, and broccoli.
So is
Yeah.
McDonald's out of the picture?
For those guys, for me, I eat a lot of McDonald's in Fremont. I mean, there's everything. We have Taco Bell, Wendy's, Dairy Queen, McDonald's, a Cane's, a Panda, Chipotle. I
So you got
mean,
everything on the menu.
yeah, we got everything. Yeah, so I'm well fed over there. Yeah,
That's good to hear, dude. I'm sure mom and pop feel good about that too. They ain't gotta
yeah,
worry
yeah,
about
yeah.
you.
Yeah, they're always asking me if I've eaten that day or whatever.
So were there any times you ever experienced like self doubt or imposter syndrome whenever you got there?
Yeah. I mean, when I got there, I mean, I remember me and my roommate Roger. He was actually best friends with the lifter that was there. His name was Loop, and Yule, Francisco Yule. They were two lifters there at Midland already, and they were juniors, gonna be seniors. And I remember when we got there, he was like, "Hey, do you want to go work out?" And I was like, "Where are we gonna work out? We're gonna start Monday." He's like, "Well, my friend Luke, they have this gym, little side gym in the, because our weight room is actually off campus in the Fremont Mall.
Oh
It's
wow.
really the only thing in there besides the movie theater. And there's this little gym in the corner of that mall that has just one combo rack, two cages, and one deadlift platform, and a thing of barbells, and a lat pull down, right?" And I said, "Yeah, let's go work out, whatever, whatever." And I remember walking in, and I mean, these guys, Loop, I mean, he don't look big. I mean, he's got, I'm not making, he would probably laugh at this, but I mean, he's got chicken legs, really. But I mean, he's got real chicken legs, but he's real big, built up top. But I mean, this guy could pull, I mean, 650 pounds, on the daily. I mean, he
Golly.
was he was a really strong guy. And then Yule was he was amazing. He was an amazing bencher as well, amazing bencher and puller. He actually came back from a motorcycle incident where he actually had both of his knees or something in his legs, broke, and he came back from all that. And I mean, when I got there, I mean, I was just like, yeah, I'm big dog. I'm seeing these guys. I can keep up with these guys. Like, I'm cool. But then the next day, all of my freshman class, I guess we told them, and they told them to come work out. So I mean, it was them two, a couple of the other upperclassmen, and I mean, we had 15 of us freshman guys that go and work out in this thing, and I'm benching, right, and I remember loading up 275, and I'm doing it easy like nothing, and everyone else is like, "Yeah, I'm done." I'm like, "All right, I'm cool. I'm the last one standing, right?" I have a buddy of mine. His name was Mason Mitchell. He's from Wisconsin. I mean, this guy, he's looks like Prince Charming, really. big guy. He's got a big chest, big legs. He gets under there, sets up, has a big old arch. I mean, he's probably going this far from the bar to his stomach, and he's just repping it out for like 12. And I was like, all right, I'm not big dog. This guy's pretty legit for a freshman. So, but yeah, I mean, we laugh about it, and I really did, have self-doubt. I remember the first practice that we had with the upperclassmen. I worked out with his Vincent Huerta. He was my captain at the time. He was another 125, and I mean, this guy was just a beast. Me and him looked exactly the same. He was just built, and I mean, he was close to a 900-pound squatter that year. He was benching 600, deadlifting close to seven. I worked out with Ray Bowring, who's actually my best friend now and my coach for the off season. His dad is actually like a 9-time world champion there in Great Britain.
Dang.
Um, yeah, so yeah, I can say I have a best friend who's lives out of country. He lives in Great Britain. But I mean, this guy Ray Bowring. I mean, he broke that squat record this past year. This year actually, and he squatted 1,051. And
Golly.
he was legit. He squatted 1,051. He benched 700, and he deadlifted close to 800 pounds. And I remember walking in, knowing all this, working out with them, and I'm like, yeah, no way. There's no way I'm anything here. Like, how am I gonna like these guys are already on top, and I'm scraping on the barrel. And I really felt, at least my first month really there, I fell into a deep spiral, and it was just like, man, I want to go home.
Yeah.
Like there's no way that I can do this. There's no way that I can stay true, to all this. And I remember calling my mom, and there'd be nights where I'd stay in the car and I'm crying, to my mom, telling her like, I want to go home. Like all these guys, like they're way better than me, and there's no way that I even match up to these guys. And she just, I remember her telling me like, just stay true. And she's really about confessing your words, and whatever you confess, happens. And she'd always tell me to never say that you can't, but always say that you will. So after really after that moment, it was never like I can. It's like, okay, I will do this. I am going to do this. I am going to be good. I am going to get strong. And after that moment, I started figuring them out, and getting closer to them, and realizing these guys they were just like me. And
Yeah.
actually they were I was actually a lot stronger than them when they were my age. So when they told me that, it actually made me feel a lot better about myself. And I got close to them, started working out with them, because like I said, if I wanted to be the best and be one of the best, I got to train with the best. And that's really just how it was all just like a ladder, really. Had to climb my way out of it.
Yeah. So you kind of how would you say you overcame those feelings? Like trying. You said you spiraled. So how you got out of that whole thanks to mom and
Yeah.
kind of just changing your mindset and your words and is that right?
Yeah, yeah, really how I got out of it too is, I got real into my prayer. I'd pray every night, and I would feel super refreshed when I wake up. And after I started doing that, I mean, it was really just like night and day, really. I mean, started praying at night, started praying when I woke up. I'd go through school, I went to the gym, and it was just like nothing. Once I started making my friends on the team, and having that camaraderie with everyone, and we finally became like one true team, and it wasn't just freshmen and upperclassmen. But once we really coincided, I mean, it was the best.
Yeah. So okay. So that's awesome, man, to hear that you had like friends and just kind of
Yeah,
just the sounds like the environment kind of helped you out as well
yeah, no,
and
it did, it
faith.
really did.
Always faith.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and it really did help too, that I mean, most of the guys that are there are from Texas. I
Okay.
mean, this whole team really, I mean, it's like, I don't know, 75% of the people there are from Texas. So that really helped, that, other people are in the same boat as me,
Yeah.
and I mean, I remember our first freshman meet, really, our upperclassmen. put it on us that like this is where you show like if you're meant to be here or not. This is where you show like if you're meant to, if you can really hang on this team, or if you're gonna get pushed aside. And I remember my first freshman meet. It was in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I remember squatting like I squatted 600 pounds. I benched 351, and I pulled 575, I believe, or 550, and then I jumped up like 60 pounds because my coach wanted me to beat this guy from Concordia, one of our rival teams. And I tried to pull it, and I misgrooved, and I went down and up. I still pulled it, but it didn't count. So,
Oh
right then and
man.
there, I had those guys, Ray and Vince, they really told me like, hey, it's all right, it's all good, you finally showed, what you can do, and let's build from here.
Yeah, for sure. Man, that's awesome. That's an awesome first. So that kind of leads me to the next question. How did you adapt and grow through each meet, once it kind of began?
I mean, how did I adapt and grow? That first meet, that freshman meet, I was glad it was just all freshmen. I have a buddy of mine, his name is Jacob Hernandez. He's from the Panhandle of Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, he's from there, and me and him were the same person. He was a 275, I was 275, and coach told us don't worry about our weights, and we ended up being in the same weight class. And I remember me and him, we were best friends the whole time we were there, and through college, we were best friends. We'd hang out every day. We would stay up late playing games or doing whatever we want as a team, as what we were doing. And but I'd always tell him, like in the gym, we're not friends. Like as corny as it sounds, we were enemies really,
Yeah,
because
hell yeah.
coming from high school was I'm not gonna let someone like me beat me.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I'm not. You tell me the same stuff. So we would tell each other, I mean, terrible things, to each other in the gym, trying to get each other mad, to one up each other. He always beat me on squat. I always had him on bench, and our deadlifts were so and so the same. And it was really good, competition to really compete with someone like me and someone who was the same person as me. And going from there, I mean, qualifying, finally getting into equipment, actually my freshman year, I mean, was a big eye opener, going from high school to collegiate. Because I mean, you know I had a custom suit in high school. I mean, I had 3 meter wraps, I had a full bench daddy. Going into college, I mean, it's single ply suits and 2 meter wraps. And I mean, and the bench shirts are exactly like a squat suit. They look like a shirt that's just a tight shirt, right?
Dang.
And I remember like, man, I squat 800 pounds. Like, why is 722 feeling like this? Like, there's no way it should feel like this. And I remember me like changing up my whole way that I squat and trying to figure out exactly how I can adapt to getting my own lift offs, and going through commands, and figuring out this bench shirt, this deadlift suit, this brand new deadlift suit. And I ended up qualifying for nationals, my freshman year, and I was still adapting to really everything. Because going from suits in high school to 3 meter wraps, and then going to college and going to 2 meter wraps, and a different suit, it's real different, because you're not really in your equipment anymore. You're in
Yeah.
you're in different equipment, and better equipment, if I'm being honest.
Oh, really? Okay, so it helped you out, or would you
Yeah.
say?
Oh yeah. It was really just, once I figured everything out and got back into my routine, and being in equipment for so long through high school, it was actually a lot easier to get used to everything, and get used to 2 meter wraps and how they feel, and trying out different wraps and learning exactly like different patterns. And still, even the bench shirt too, because bench daddies, they work like this, because they're triple ply, and they're all rubber
Yeah.
band and everything. And I mean, those bench shirts, it's exactly like this, just thicker. And if you can't go down like this, you have to bring it down to your stomach, and if not, you fold. And it's happened to me where I was going down and I folded, and the bar came close to
Ooh.
my face. But luckily, we're taught there to you know be the best at spotting, and being careful and close and everything. And I'm still figuring out that shirt, and I'm still figuring out like exactly what I'm capable of in that shirt.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm
Um,
kind of looking. Can you explain? Because I'm looking at y'all's roster, right? And you're not lying. That's a lot of Texas there.
yeah, yes,
Um,
sir.
what is raw and equipped? What's the difference?
So, raw lifting is there's no supportive equipment. So there's no squat suit, there's no knee wraps, no bench shirt, no deadlift suit. And then raw is essentially, you're not in that equipment. You're just lifting in knee sleeves, your belt, your singlet, wrist wraps. So it's pure,
Damn.
it's really pure raw strength. And equipped is, you're putting on equipment to really to push, heavier weight.
Holy smokes, that's crazy. Yeah, yeah, a lot of. Well, you have quite a bit of raw lifters.
Yes.
Man, you got a lot of
Yeah.
South Texas too, man.
Yeah, yes, we do. Yes.
San Juan.
I mean, the biggest, and part of thing really there, the strongest guys, in my opinion, come from South Texas, Region 5. I mean, even when I was in high school, I mean, through all the divisions, Region 5 was always on top. You know, through 1A to 6A, I mean, Region 5 was always winning and placing and everything.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah, because you have different. Because there's what? There's divisions, and then each division has five
Yes, so there's
regions, right?
yeah, so yeah, yes.
Okay.
So there's Division 1 through Division 4, and each division has their own regions for regionals. But once you get to state, the divisions, all the regions come together, and you're going against everyone
All
from
right.
your division.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So, man, let's talk about your national championship season. Could you walk us through kind of what, like, your season getting to that competition?
So this past season where I became a national champion, I mean, I had it all really. I mean, I was finally, I had showed myself my freshman year, and everything was aligning. And I remember my first meet that we did, the upperclassmen meet we did in November. I mean, I ended up squatting 822. I ended up benching 463, and then I ended up pulling 585. I messed up on my last pull always. My deadlift has been a very hit or miss for me through that whole prep, and I slowly realized that okay, I'm up there. I could hold my own. And, from the previous year, from, competing at 125s when I got beat, when I shouldn't have, from my last pull, I mean, it slowly realized I was like, okay, I can hang with these guys. I really got to push myself, and I really got to, really see what I can do. So, I mean, through that winter break and through the next prep, I really pushed myself. I had Ray as my workout buddy. Really, he pushed me. He figured me out, and he realized that I operate on a lot of anger, I guess you could say. So even when I was working out, or our big sets, I took everything like it was a meet. Even when we got into equipment, I mean, when it wasn't even heavy, or when I knew I had to do something, I'd have Ray or one of my best friends, Ram, who's a captain. Me and him are captains now for the team. They would yell in my ear, and I'd get up, and they're slapping me on the back, and telling me horrific things, and just to get me mad. And um, that whole prep really showed me that okay, I'm getting to where I want to be. We're getting closer to nationals, and I can't mess up. And I was going back and forth with my coach because for point systems, he didn't know if he wanted me to be a 275 or he wanted me to be a 308. So I was like, okay, I'll stick in the middle. So I was weighing at like 278, 280 in the mornings. So I'm like, I hope he tells me I can go up, or if he got to tell me to cut down, like tell me to cut down now, so I'm not. Because I mean, I was having the prep of my life because I was eating whatever I want. I didn't have to cut weight, and
Yeah, for sure.
finally he told me, he gave me the green light to, yeah, you're gonna go 140. So I mean, I started eating, and I finally felt good, and prep was starting to go a lot better. Um, and really that whole prep, like in high school, I was chasing a record. The school record there is 395 keys, which is close to, I believe it's like 875, I believe, on squat.
Let's
So I
see.
was I was I was yeah, yeah, 395.
There you go.
Yeah,
395
395
keys converted
keys,
to what?
pounds,
That's
yeah.
pounds, right? 395, 870.
870. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was chasing that. I mean, for the longest time when since I heard I was going to it, like, okay, I gotta get something like that. But I mean, going from trying to get to 395. I mean, I was only squatting, man, 362, which is 780 at the least. And I believe at the meet I did 372, which was 872, 822. And but finally I got the green light to get up and go up a weight class, and everything was just better for me there.
So it all worked out kind of. And that
Yeah,
and
I
was
did. Yeah.
that was your coach's decision, right? Like because
Yes.
he was kind
Yes.
of
My
keeping you
coach's
between and just
decision.
told you, hey, go up.
Yes. Yeah. So my coach is actually he's very smart with like other teams, because we do this thing where we have a social media blackout where we're not allowed to post any of our lifts, or really anything on social media. That way, like our competition cannot see us at all, like see how we're working out or seeing how we operate to get any edge on us or anything.
Okay.
So, because he does everything during the year to make sure that we have the best opportunity and chance for our team to win. So we didn't tell anyone I was going to 140 or the 308s until it was on the finals roster where people check it out. And um you know when he always tells us not to look because it shows you your predicted placings and it shows you who you're going against and everything. And
Oh, I got you.
yeah, but of course, I'm always very curious, so I go and I look, because some people operate differently. Because some people see it and they're like, "Oh man, I'm ranked, third. I have a chance to win," but then they get nervous and they psych themselves out. But I mean, me, I was just like, "Well, let's see," So I remember looking into it and I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm first by a bit," but then I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna look up these other guys and see if they actually did equipped, if it did that raw or whatever it was." And I mean, the guys I went against were amazing guys. I actually went against one of the guys who I went against high school. His name was Scotty. He's from Kingsville. He lifts for Kingsville Javelinas. He got fifth this past year, and uh, he was a good competition.
That's good, man. So you had a so did you know that like I said, right? You wouldn't look or nobody would kind of
Yeah,
let you
yeah.
know.
I knew he was going. I actually thought he was going to go 125, but he ended up going to 140s.
Okay.
So and he posted all of his prep, like every lift, every session, and I'm watching it and seeing it, and I'm like, okay, I see where you're at, and I see where I'm at, and I'm like, okay, we're he's going. He started, posting stuff, all that, um, and I was just like, well, I'm not gonna let this guy beat me, no way.
So was there any different prep that year? Like as far as like your as far as your routine, did anything change?
What really changed was because the previous year we actually didn't sweep, so our male raw team got second to UTSA in San Antonio.
Okay.
They UTSA, I mean, they have an amazing program across the board, and they put, I mean, all their guys on the raw team to take us off, and I mean, we lost. It was by a few points or one placing really that we lost. And that next year, this past year, I mean, we really set it in stone where we're not going to let some other teams hang with us, because they really can't.
Yeah.
So that whole prep was really in preparation for sweeping again, and showing everyone why we're Midland, and why we are exactly the best in the nation.
Yeah, for sure. So then what let's see. Sorry, I got a list of questions I'm going through. I'm kind of skipping around.
Uh,
Um Whenever you got to that national championship meet, you know, what what made or did anything feel different? Was it kind of just did you kind of just take it, hey, I'm just gonna look at it as another meet, or was there some added pressure on you?
I mean, really, there's always pressure. but I knew there was a lot of pressure because I know my coach put a lot of faith in me moving up a weight class to earn points for the team. So, I really had to, lock in and, you know, I had to win it really, for the team. And I wasn't really looking at winning it for myself. I was looking into winning it for the team and giving everyone that national championship. And, even before the meet, we got there the before the first day started. So I left on day 4 on Sunday, but we got there on Wednesday.
Oh wow.
And day 1, day 2, I'm actually one of I wrap the girls and the
Okay.
guys, and I help handle them. So I tell them when they're up, take their headphones off, hype them up, whatever. So day 1, day 2, I mean, I was packed, wrapping the girls, wrapping the guys, taking them off, handling them and all that. So I mean, I would get dog tired because I'd have to wake up at 6 when they go work out, and the meets didn't finish till it was 10, 11 o'clock at night. So
Golly.
finally, that Saturday, I got to rest, and I went for a little bit to watch some of the guys. And but I remember the night before, I mean, I was really, really I don't know if I was nervous or if I was just anxious, because
Yeah.
I was just, I mean, I didn't throw up at all, but I was, I was hurting. And I mean really, I mean, before any big meet like that, where you're about to put your body through so much pressure and everything, it's real hard to stay locked in and keep your cool, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine. I mean, or I can only imagine. You being through it. Could you describe the moment that you realized that you won the national championship?
Man, I mean, the moment I knew really that I won was really after my first squat. My first attempt squat, when I went up there, and I was the only squat of my flight to be anything over 800 pounds. And when I opened up with 804 pounds, and the next guy opened up or finished at 750. And after that, I mean, I knew, like, oh, I'm gonna win this. Like, I can't mess up. I'm gonna win this. And I'm not gonna and I just don't want to win by just taking slack off. I'm gonna blow these guys out of the water, and I'm gonna show them, like why I'm here. And you can't, to be humble, you can't hang with me. But
Oh, absolutely. It's not.
I knew after that first squat, and even my third squat, I mean, after I squatted the 860, I was like, there's no way, me going from 360 to 8 to 390, it was just crazy to me.
Yeah, for sure. Did it kind of ease off the pressure for you? Kind of just knowing that you had that, because that your squats are opening, right? That's your first lift.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
squat, bench, and then your deadlift. Yes, sir.
Okay. Dang. So you kind of just it kind of just eased you up, and you just got to
Yeah.
kind of
I mean,
cruise
because
it.
even before the meet, when I weighed in, all the guys listening to music, and, I mean, I was nervous. My heart was, 200 beats per minute or whatever. I was, I mean, I'm just trying to weigh in, right? And I tried listening to music, and I'm like, no, I can't listen to music. I can't do that. I remember weighing in, and having all my stuff, all my equipment with me, making sure I have all my equipment during the equipment check and doing all that. And then I get to the weight, the warm up room, and I look at the time. I'm okay. If I'm first flight, I go on at 1 o'clock. I got to start everything at 12, and I get back there and I start warming up. And I'm already nervous. I'm okay. I got to lock in. I put in my headphones, and for me, listening to music it would totally throw me off. I mean, I was getting more and more anxious and nervous. So I was like, I can't listen to this like hype music. So I put on country music. I mean, I was listening to Zach Top, George Strait during really my whole warm ups, and it calmed me down. And
Yeah, for sure.
um, really after that, I mean, it was just like, I've been here before. I know what I'm doing, and let's go, and let's win this.
Awesome, man. So who was all there to celebrate that moment with you? And was there anybody, showing that love and support, that couldn't be there in person?
Yeah, I mean, so who went was, my mom, my dad, my sister, my cousins Rosemary, Mike, and Emily. They went. And then my girlfriend, Sarah Adams, she went. She actually was gonna fly in that day, um but for whatever reason, she had a mishap with her alarms. So she woke up, late. She got on her flight late to San Antonio to Dallas. And I mean, it looked like there was just no way she was going to be able to make it. There was no way she could have flew to me. There was no flights. So, somehow she made it work and she got a rental car and she was probably going 120 miles an hour on 35 from Dallas to Oklahoma City. And she made it there in, I don't know, it was supposed to be like a 3 hour drive and she made it there in like an hour and a half, really.
Golly.
And yeah, and the only thing she missed was my squats, and I was like, "That's fine." I mean, I didn't want you to see those because I turn into a whole different animal when I squat, and but once she was there, I remember walking out, and because I don't like get on my phone. I tell everyone, the day before, like, I don't text meet days. I don't look at my phone. I'm trying to purposely stay locked in, and
Yeah.
she understands that, and I remember walking out because usually she's right there with her phone, right there front and center. I can see her, and my squats I couldn't see her, so it kind of just built fuel to the fire. Like, okay, what's going on? She's not going to be here. All this is going on, and finally after my squats, I get a text like, "Hey, I'm here. I made it." So I quickly run out of there, and I go to the crowd, and I see her. I give her a big hug, big old kiss, and um, I'm asking her like, what happened? She's like, I missed my flight. I don't know what happened. Like my alarm. I'm like, you're fine. You're here. Let's get through this meet. I finally had that actually added to my nerves too. But I mean, it was totally fine after all that.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, yeah, yeah, she's here. Good. Yeah. And other people, too. I mean, my mom is real big. She's real big on Facebook, so she was posting days in advance and making t-shirts and she was texting all of her friends like he's gonna go on at this time, he's been going at this time, I'm gonna send videos and all that. So I knew I had the community support back here, and I really appreciate everyone that sent the congratulations and everything.
Yeah, like they were getting texts in your exact time. There, people were ready.
Yeah, yeah, Jada, my best friend. Yeah, I would always text them. They'd ask me, when are you gonna go on? I'm gonna go on this time. I send them the link, and I'd leave it.
That's awesome, man. So they do air these things, huh? Or
Yes,
I've been hearing
yes,
about channels, and even like when I interviewed the Charos, like knowing that they can go, that they have their meet. So I mean, be
yes.
be sure to share that with us, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they're aired. They show them on YouTube. I mean, they have commentators and whole ads, and it's a whole thing. This whole community is trying to get big. The only meets they show on ESPN are the world meets, which are like the big IPF meets that are on ESPN. And
Yeah.
right now, collegiate is just YouTube. But I mean, they get, I don't know, it's like 100,000 views for every live stream, people watching all this. So it's growing
Wow.
into this big thing. It's a lot bigger than what it was back then, to now.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, let's because again, dude, I'm researching all this stuff, while we're going, and I had most of it saved or open on tabs. What was it like, whenever you found out you were an All American that first year?
Oh man, I mean it felt amazing, to do it my freshman year, to become an All-American. I was just like, it was very surreal to me, to get that All-American badge and patch, and to get third. And I wasn't mad, or you know I wasn't discouraged that I didn't win. I mean, the guys that I was going against, they earned it. They earned, Scotty, not Scotty, Charlie. His name was Charlie Pimpin Woods. He got first. The guy that got second was from UTSA. I mean, the guy that beat me that my freshman year, I'm best friends with him now. He goes to school in um man, I say I'm best friends, but I can see their logo, but I just forgot the school. But I talked to him. I talked to him at nationals last year because he went down a weight class. And I asked him, like, hey, why did you move a weight class? He's like, the same reason you went up a weight class. I didn't want to go against you. And I was like, all right, you're right, you're right. So, he went down a weight class. I went up a weight class. And, I mean, really, getting that All-American badge is, like, I can hang with these guys. I'm one of the, bigger guys in the nation now. I put myself out there and I put myself on the map, and it's I have that badge on my jacket, and um I look at it, every time I see it, and I'm like, I did that my freshman year. Like, I mean, I was fresh out of high school doing this, and I'm an All-American now, and it's a really good accomplishment that I have for myself.
That's awesome, man. So now you're a two-time, right? Two-time All-American.
Yes, yes,
Now,
two-time All-American.
20 says this is what I got. 2025 USA Powerlifting equipped collegiate national champion at the 140.
Yes,
That's
yes,
awesome, dude. And my favorite
yeah,
thing too, man, just seeing straight out of Cotulla, Texas.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, really, I mean, it's you know, you don't see it often. Jennifer Benavides too. She's a two-time national champion, three-time, All-American. I mean, she's really she's the OG of all this, really. I mean, she started all of this for all these kids that are, myself included, that are going now. I
Yeah, for
mean,
sure.
she's real humble. She's the humblest person, you'll ever meet. Real quiet, and she's a beast, really. I mean, she's got her legs are the same size as my legs, and she's 100 and 45 pounds. I mean, she's crazy.
Yeah, man. If she's watching or if anybody knows, I mean, we'd love to have her,
Yeah,
reach
yeah.
out so we can feature her as well.
Yeah, her sister actually went to Midland as well. She got an offer to Midland as well too.
Dang. Okay. So kind of building some athletes going to this Midland.
Yeah, yeah, and we actually have, so this year I got announced as captain for the team. Me and two other guys, Brandon Ward and Ramiro Yanez, we're all from Texas, and we
Nice.
got voted on as captains, and I was actually a part of some of the recruiting. So I actually went down, me and a group of me, Ray Bowring, and two other guys on the male team went down to Texas to recruit for the team. So we drove down to Abilene, and we did all that. I did it my freshman year. I went to Girls State to help recruit. Um, so what we did and what we have is, now we're going to have two more Cotulla athletes come to Midland University, and then we're going to have two Diddley athletes come to Midland University who have powerlifted at
Wow.
their schools.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, so we're gonna in total we're gonna have seven, yeah, seven athletes from literally our two towns competing on this team.
Dang, that's gonna be awesome to watch too.
Yes, absolutely.
So man, hearing the your national champion story is it's amazing. But your story's still not done.
Yeah, no, it's not. No, not at all. I mean, it's just the beginning, really.
Yeah. So what does your typical training week look like now?
So like now, I mean, I'm on my best Ray Bowring. I'm on the Great Britain's program. I'm on their national program right now, and I have a 4-day split. So that means I work out 4 days out of the 7 weeks,
Okay.
or out of the 7 days, and then they're in blocks. So block one is 4 weeks, block two 4 weeks. Everything, and they're all week one, week two. It's all personalized for me. So he sends me a spreadsheet of what I need to do, and like yesterday I had high bar squat, and then I did conventional deadlifts, because and then a whole bunch of accessories. And like today I did tempo bench, and it's week three, so it's pretty heavy, and I had close grip bench, because this is my third block, so this is my third month being on this program, so it's all different every block and every week. So I work out Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, off weekends, off Wednesdays. It's the same as how I am in college. We work out Monday, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, because I do that because my body's used to that, and it's, I don't want to change up anything, and, um, you know, I don't want to take
Kind
a
of throw it
chance,
off.
or, yeah, throw it off, exactly, throw off my training or anything.
I got you. I got you. So we kind of got your nutrition diet going, right? We got that earlier.
Yeah.
So what does recovery and discipline outside the gym look like for you?
So recovery, I go to the trainers. I get ice baths, and I try not to like
Okay.
do anything dumb. I'm not trying to sprint down, do sprinting, or try not to sweat a bunch. I won't say I do cardio, because my cardio is actually when I work out. So I do abs, and my cardio sets are in there.
Hmm.
I do my ice baths, I do my heated baths. I get cupping on my back. I get stim, which is, electric shocks to your muscles. And
Okay.
I actually recently just bought my own cupping set, my own stim set. I have my own ice bath here. Um, so, I would do that, twice a week there. And even in my nationals prep, actually, me and my roommate Roger, we'd go and get cryotherapy,
I
which is
just saw that.
basically you step into a an ice chamber that's negative 200 degrees, and you're in there for 3 minutes, and it totally shocks your body, and all your blood rushes to your core, and once you get out, you can feel your blood rushing back to your muscles, and you just feel so refreshed, and you feel like you restarted.
That is crazy. Yeah, I was kind of worried. Well, I mean, I was not worried. I was kind of wondering what that was because, funny enough, I went to the chiropractor today, but I went to in San Antonio, and it was like a little shopping center, but they had like all kinds of different, I guess I would just say recovery places
Yeah,
because they had that
yes.
cryo one, but and that's one I was probably the most curious about because just obviously what what cryo is, but I just never understood how that would benefit your body or how I'm sure it does, right? Because obviously they wouldn't be doing it if it didn't benefit
No,
your body.
it benefits me. I do cryo, I do it once a week when I'm up there at my Nats prep. I try to do it the last 5 weeks of my prep. I do cryo, I do red light therapy, compression therapy. Sometimes I've done it once where I got IV dripped into my system
Hmm.
just for extra nutrients. And I mean, it's when you do all that, I mean, your body totally like resets and you feel like a brand new person.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So I have a question right here. Let's see, it's from my brother-in-law. Uh, Seen a lot of lifters incorporate plyometrics for explosiveness. Explosiveness, is that something that you have incorporated in yours?
So this block, yes, this block I actually started doing a box jumps, and I haven't touched box jumps since I was in high school. I mean, there's a video out there of me where we're doing our summer workouts, and it's like our midnight madness, and we're all working out, and I see everyone doing them, and I'm like, okay, this is the last station. I do it, and I totally fall on my face, and I embarrass myself. So this block actually, my on my day ones, I do box jumps, and I really float to the top, but I soft land in the bottom, and um, and other plyometrics is like my seated deadlifts. I seated deadlifts is you're basically in a chair that's a little bit higher than your parallel, and
Hmm.
you pull as fast as you can till your knees on the chair, and then you stand up as fast as you can, and that just incorporates a lot of explosiveness off the floor on a deadlift. Um, but yeah, I have started to incorporate those in my workouts, and it's actually been working for me. I've tried training with bands, I've tried training with chains, and that for me, at least as an athlete, it doesn't work for me as well as or as good as other people, because other people do it. West Side Barbell, they came out with bands and they started putting those suckers on everything, and it totally worked for them. But for myself, doing 3 meets a year, I just sometimes I don't have time to do that, but I
Yeah,
have during this summer. I've incorporated a lot of plyometrics and trying to build my speed and my muscle conditioning, but also keeping my strength as well.
that's awesome to hear. Yeah, man. Seeing he's actually a CrossFit trainer. He
Oh,
has his
okay,
own gym,
okay.
so yeah, he knows he's my go-to for whenever
Yeah, yeah.
I started CrossFit for a week, got knocked out. I'll get back to it eventually when I recover, but
Yeah.
but yeah, Mr. Nico's my go-to whenever it comes to stuff like this. So for let's talk about your goals, man. What are your goals, both short-term and long-term, for this coming season?
I mean, short-term goals is to, be the best captain I can, to my teammates and these upcoming freshmen. I'm gonna really try and, look back at my freshman year and what my captains did, and, bridge off of that and see what I can do better and see what will work. And, you know, another goal is, I'm gonna win it again. I'm gonna take the records and I'm gonna win it again. For my junior year and my senior year. I don't want anybody to, stand in my way or, get in front of my work. And I mean, some long-term goals is, I do plan, in the future. I've been talking about it with my father. I've been looking at, kilo plates, bars, and combo racks. And, long term, I do want to have, a little gym here at the house, because Cotulla is growing with powerlifters. I mean, I go to the gym, I have, I coach Alex there. I coach Aiden, one of my Aiden Gonzalez, him there. And they always wish, they had kilos and big time goal is to hopefully, purchase some of that equipment and get my own, gym here just, for athletes that want to, you know, get better and, do the same thing that I did,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
I mean, it's totally different, F4 is a great gym. It really is. I make do in there. I mean, I've put some serious weight in that. I've squatted 800 pounds in that gym and, I've had no complaints. Um, but really to give kids and students the ability to train on equipment like that, because I mean there's no you have to travel to San Antonio or Laredo to even get equipment like that, and an hour each way is not ideal.
Yeah, it's
And
tough to
then
train like that.
yeah, and then another goal I really plan on doing is stepping onto the world stage and representing our country to um to compete.
Yeah, there you go, man. That was the one I was looking for.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I had to
absolutely.
remember it. Yeah.
Absolutely. That'd be awesome. So how does that so is there like a plan that you might already have in mind, or how does that work as far as trying to go or to be the one that represents?
So, the way you represent is you have to get first at your national meet here in the US to be eligible for competing on the national stage. And
Okay.
I've already looked at numbers and my numbers, and I would have actually been able to compete this year for Team USA, but USAPL and IPF, they don't coincide. So it's either you lift for one or you don't lift for the other. You can't lift for both federations because there's been this whole um, dispute between them. So looking into these next 2 years is after my years there at Midland, I do want to compete in the IPF and um, um, you know compete for Team USA. That's a dream of mine, is to represent our country and represent Cotulla at a world stage. Really,
Yeah, that'd be a sight to see. Again,
yes,
I like seeing that to the Texas by athletes' names.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So here we got a little comment from old Luke,
yeah. No
old school.
bands, yeah, yeah. Old school.
Well, so what about a national champion back to back?
I mean, I'm gonna do it. I mean,
No doubt.
there's no doubt in my mind that I have every asset available to me that I can do it. And you know, I've done it once. My roommate had this thing, do it once and it's a curse. And if you do it twice, it might be something. So, I'm not going to take it as like, okay, I've won my first collegiate national championship. I'm not going to take it as, oh, I'm done. I'm going to step back and, I'm going to hang up my shoes and, let the next guy go. But, I want to do this. I don't want to get beat my junior year, and I don't want to get beat, my senior year. I've
Yeah.
always been real big. I'm a very competitive person when it comes to anything. I mean, you can ask my family. We go bowling, and I turn into a pro bowler, and I turn into, who do you think you are? I am. Um, no bumpers or nothing. I mean, we anything we do, really. I'm super competitive. My family is super competitive, really.
That's
Um,
awesome.
but yeah, I mean, I just, who's to say I can't do it a second time, or a third time? And next goal is to go compete. I did it my freshman year. I did it my first year. I competed at Equip Nationals, and I'm a Team 3 national champion, and I got third in the Open. So I got a bronze medal in the Open, which is open. That Open means I go against everyone. So I
Yeah.
mean, I was going against guys that were 30, 28 years old. I mean, big dudes, and I got third against all those guys. But big
That's
goal
awesome.
is, go compete again and go compete for my pro card and, get my first open national championship too as well after all that.
Sweet, man. And then you can do that while you're in college?
Yes, I can do that while I'm in college. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to keep our eye on that as well.
Yes. Yeah. There's a lot of big things in the works right now that I'm stepping into. So it's going to be hard, but I know I can do it.
Oh man, we're here for you too, man. So and on that again, we keep just trickling down to these topics. Perfect timing because again, I kind of try to plan everything and have my questions. So let's talk about influence. Who has been your biggest support system?
So, I mean, really, my biggest support system, it really has to be, my family and, my loved ones that are, you know, here for me. I mean, like I said, when I left for college, I mean, it was very, nasty leaving 16 hours and, but having a strong family and, having a loving girlfriend, like let me go at least, it was very crazy to say the least, but,
Yeah, for sure.
my family was there for me. I had Cotulla on my back as well. I always had people, commenting. My mom would post me when I'm in school, people commenting like proud of you, congratulations or whatever. I enjoyed seeing all that and coaches as well from high school, texting me like, hey, if you need to use the gym, I remember I know Loop's watching, I'd always text him like, hey, I'm here. Can I go to the gym? He's like, yeah, come at this time, whatever. And, I'd go to the gym to work out or I'd go to Dilly and, go to their facility over there. Coach Rocha, if he's watching, he's a very, very nice coach, very nice gentleman. He's allowed me to use their facilities when I can't use it here,
Yeah.
but
Oh, okay. Ismael, is that?
yes, yes,
Oh
yeah, he's
yeah,
the
man. See,
cross, yeah.
that's my CrossFit coach right there.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. He's a great guy. Great,
Yeah,
great
man, he
guy.
really is. Shout out to them in their gym. So, what does it mean, or what does it mean to you to represent Cotulla on that national stage? As far,
I mean, it
pride.
means it means a lot. I mean, I moved here when I was in the second grade from Columbus, Texas. But I mean, I came here in the second grade. I mean, I've basically been here forever, really. I played Pee Wee football. You were my coach, Pee Wee football. I mean,
Absolutely,
yeah. I mean, going into all that, I mean, it's really a big eye opener that like, talent can come from a, small town and how much talent has come from our small town, and it's very opening to be like even if you go to the biggest city and you're competing with the biggest dogs and there's always going to be someone that is better and coming from Cotulla it was you had to really earn your spot because everyone comes from the same. You really had to show who you were and competing at this national stage and competing with the best team and the best coaches and learning from the best. I still come back to my roots and I'm just a small town boy with my big dreams.
absolutely, man. So the it's good to hear that the small town kid hasn't left you, but it's not like it can because you're still in that small
Yeah,
town, the
yeah,
small
yeah.
town vibe.
I don't think I'll ever forget Cotulla because of how much it's given me. I mean, I don't say I would have gotten this far without Cotulla, because they gave me, even high school, they gave me best equipment, whatever I needed, I was there. I had suits, wraps. I mean, I had availability to the facility. I don't think I'd find that anywhere else. I would have gone. And just the community that was here to help me. It really showed a lot that anybody can come from anything and you can become something.
For sure, especially from our town, Cotulla, and to anybody that's watching, for the younger kids that are watching. So, are there any mentors, coaches, teammates, supporters you'd like to give a shout out to right now?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, coach, I like to shout out my coaches, my head coach, Tim Anderson, he's a great guy. Our head men's coach is Brian Bastide. Our head assistant coach, Garrett Parkhill. They're great guys, great coaches. Tim Anderson's, he's a world bench presser. He's won worlds in the bench press for, I don't know, 6, 7 years. He's coached the USA team for, I believe it's like 10 or 12 years until he came to Midland. So he comes from, I mean, he's in the Hall of Fame of powerlifting for USAPL. I mean,
Wow.
we have coaches like Jen Thompson, who's respectively the best in the field, the best in powerlifting. Her husband Donovan, the great couple, great family. Um, Shout out my mom, my dad, my sisters, my brother, my brothers, my girlfriend Sarah. She's been a very big support system. I mean, it's very hard leaving a loved one like that to go to college and be literally it's 1,030 miles, and it feels like 1,030 miles away from each other, really. So but luckily we have FaceTime and calls and text messages, so we're never really alone. I see Jada on here. I'll shout out Jada too, Loop. I'll shout out you, Loop. I don't want to miss anybody, really.
Yeah,
I
man.
guess my friends, Roger, Ram, Brandon, Grant, all of them back home or at Nebraska. When I get back, we'll do a whole big shindig and we'll have a good time.
Yeah, and kudos to you, man, for making a long distance relationship work. I know it's always
Yeah,
tough on a lot of people.
it's very, very hard, but I mean, as long as you got communication and you trust each other, and the love is there, nothing can stand in the way, really.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Yeah. See, I found my wife 6 hours away in West Texas, not in the other Midland. She was Pecos, right? But it's right by Midland. So
Yes,
I
yes.
feel in that one, dude. That's perfect wording for it. So you've mentioned that you have that dream of having your own equipment, kind of being a trainer to the next generation of or lifters that want to come out of Cotulla. Is that kind of something that you is that something that you wanted to do before you were a national champion, or is this something that kind of came after that you kind of felt like that sense of need to give back to the younger
So,
ones?
so really, I mean, it just didn't come about as a thought until really this past year when I won nationals, and I started working out and coming back home and realizing that, I mean, heck, if I really want the best shot at this, and all these younger athletes that are wanting a shot in this, um, we need to get some of the equipment, so they can start training on it and not fall behind. Because for me as well, it was a real, like I said, it was a real big game changer to go from pounds and equipment here to kilos and stuff like that. There. I mean, I've thought about this, probably this summer, and no, I would say February. I've been thinking about this, and um, I've been looking at stuff and looking at Facebook Marketplace and different companies and everything. And it's a pretty penny, but nothing's impossible. But it's always been in my heart to give back and to help. And I want to give people even from Laredo or Diddley, Pearsall, Divine, to for Cotulla to get that atmosphere and that equipment, and I think it'd be a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, imagine what you'd build. I mean, it sounds like your coach built an amazing team. It sounds like you want to follow a similar path in just a different location.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, he's Tim Anderson has built just a great team, a great atmosphere, and a great team culture. To the point to where, I mean, we all have each other's backs, and we're never gonna let someone hold us. We're not gonna let someone hold you down, or because like there's that saying where you're only as strong as your weakest link, but we'd rather have our weakest link be really strong. So I mean, just what he's built. I don't see why that can't come anywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Uh, so now, probably a part that we've kind of, or a piece of, or a segment. Let me call it a segment because that's what I've been labeling them as. Probably one of my favorite segments is the young athletes. Like, and this is now where we focus on them. If you could give any advice to younger athletes that are wanting to pursue powerlifting, what would you share with them?
Don't, what I would share with them is like, don't stop. Don't be afraid to go to that gym. Don't be let down with like, oh, I look at this guy, he's big, he's intimidating, because I was like that, I mean, a big shout out to Kel Lafferty, he's actually the one that um put me in the weight room, and he took me to the Cotulla gym here at the high school I believe when it was first made, and um Sebastian Velasquez was the coach here. But Kel Lafferty really showed me that, like, no matter like how strong you are or how weak you are, how you're just starting, you just got to keep going, because it's up to yourself if you want to become something, something great. I mean, Kel Lafferty was he was a great running back here at Cotulla. I mean, you don't find those guys really anymore around this area,
Yeah.
but on top of that, what I'd tell, younger powerlifters is, just don't stop, you know, keep pushing yourself, and don't worry about what other people are doing and how strong they're getting. Um, you you can become that, and you can become great. And I'm still getting better, and I'm 20 years old, and I'm still, increasing my weights, and I'm still learning everything, because there's always room for improvement. I go to the gym and I go here at F4, and I see, like Jada's little brother Albert. He started going, and it always warms my heart to see him go. And I'm like, okay, he's finally in there. He's working out. He's working hard, and I love seeing that. Because he's not going to give up now. Once you're in there, it's a whole different atmosphere. I mean, you're helping your body. You're getting muscles. I mean, it really, it's a really good thing to just never give up. Really.
Yeah. Oh, and the hardest part is, like you said, just making your way in there.
Yeah, the hardest part is always going to start. The hardest part is starting. But
Yeah.
once you start, and once you've, done it, once you rip the Band-Aid off, everything's going to be, peaches and pie, really.
So let me hit you with this a really serious one this one I worked on a lot. If you could
Okay.
journey back in time and offer guidance to your younger self, standing at the rack at his first powerlifting meet ever, what would you say to him?
Shoot, man.
I always got
What
to
would I
try to stump
say?
everybody with one.
Man, probably, don't think you're not strong enough. Because I mean, when I was younger, I was really just I didn't know what I was capable of at the time. I look back at all my videos. I mean, I would squat, I'd get down and I'd shoot right back up. And I think, man, that was hard. I mean, to the other people, it's like that was fast. But to me, when I was under the bar, it's like it wasn't. It felt heavy, but if I could really go back in time and, tell my younger self, it'd be, don't stop, really. Just push yourself, and, quit being scared. You know, don't be scared. Just keep going.
Trust the process.
Yeah, trust the process. Exactly.
So, what are some common mistakes that young lifters should avoid?
Some mistakes common that you should avoid is, you know, trying to put everything on at once. That's trying to, you know, just work out and try to work up to a top set, and, go from there, and, try to do everything heavy, because you have to build a base first. It's like when you're building a house. You got to build foundation, then you can lay concrete, then you can lay everything, then you can start building your house. You can't just jump right into it and expect everything to work, and because you won't grow like that.
Yeah.
So you have to work through sets, figure out your body, figure out what, form and what techniques work best for you, and, really see who you are and what you're capable of.
That's awesome, man. That's great advice, especially for the younger ones. So, last question: could you speak some words of encouragement for anyone struggling to stay motivated?
You know, it is really hard to stay motivated, but you always got to see the light. To me, it's you always got to see the light at the end of the tunnel. You always got to strive to get out of the tunnel and be, free, really. Because I've had days where, I've been tired and I'm like, there's no way I can make it to the gym, and there's no way, like, I want to do this, like I don't want to do this no more. But I always think about it like, no, I'm doing it. I'm doing it for a reason. I mean, I'm given this opportunity, and I don't want to fall short with this opportunity, and I want to go as far as I can. So, I get my butt up, and I head over there and I make myself, and then I feel way better that I'm glad I didn't stay in bed and I went to the gym. So it's always just, as much as you don't want to do something, you got to realize that there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, or there's always the sun. There's always sun behind the tree. You just got to move. You got to move and get out the way to see it and find it.
There you go, man. That's perfect. Well, I'll leave this last part to you. This floor is open. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
Uh, Man, no, not really. I mean, yeah, like what? Yeah, sky is the limit. Yeah,
For sure,
yeah. I
man.
remember. I remember when y'all would coach me. I used to hate. I would hate Pee Wee practice. I'd always wait to see if Abel's yellow Corvette or his big old white truck was going to show up, and I used to hate those days because I knew if he was going to show up, it'd be a day, or our little military camp workouts. I
Oh
don't remember
man,
if it
those are
was
brutal.
him or if it was JoJo, that I was always the last one in the lines, but they'd always keep running with me, and God, I was terrible.
They maybe for to say you're terrible was far from it, but your conditioning, yeah, it was bad.
That was bad. Yeah. Gosh. That was. I figured if I can get through that, heck, I can get through anything.
A lot of people, man, we've heard it that we were probably some of the tougher ones. Then they
Yeah,
grew
but
up.
I mean, it made
It's
it.
toned down.
Yeah, but it made us. It made us who we are. Today. I look back. Pee Wee. I could talk about it too. I'm proud of him. I mean, heck, I was a little kid, little fat stubby kid, and I hated it. But my mom would always tell me, you got to go. You're not gonna quit. Like, you're gonna quit, really? Like, well, no, I'm not gonna quit. Okay, I'll go. And I would hate it. I being out there in the sun and everything, and but it translates now to like who I am, and if I can do that, I'm not gonna quit. I'm gonna keep going and pushing myself.
Yeah, for sure. That when you say you even played through like an injury one year, didn't you? Sixth grade,
Yeah, I
man,
did.
right?
Yeah,
Elbow.
I dislocated my elbow, and my mom put it back into place. And she's like, "Get back out there." So I said, "All right, I'll get back out there." Yeah, I played through a dislocated elbow. Yeah,
Wild, dude. Wild. I still can't believe we didn't win the championship.
yeah, that was bad. I remember it was Divine. We had to play Divine, and
Yeah, that's exactly
it
who it
was second
was,
round.
dude. It was, and I still to this day think if we would have waited to Wade Jesse, I think it would have been different. I think we would have took it.
Yes, yeah,
I still
I
think that.
remember that. I remember that. Yeah. Heck, we were just little kids, pee wee kids, thinking this was the whole big thing, and it was for real for us. It was real.
It was hold on. You and your brother, the guys would always say y'all came. Yeah, well, it was an honor. It was definitely fun to coach that group. I still remember when Cassie approached me with it. Hold on. You have another
Yeah, I've
elbow.
done another elbow. Yeah,
Whenever Cass, I actually worked with Cass, and she just brought up, hey, Tyler needs a football coach. Or no, what was it? Baseball. It was baseball. Hey, Tyler needs a baseball coach. Would you come coach them? Blah, blah. I started. A couple months later, she goes, hey, now they need a football coach. And I was like, well, yeah. I was like, I'm down. I was like, as long as you tell your brother Abel. And I was like, I got Christian and JoJo. I was like, I know their Kolke is going to be, all down
yeah,
for it.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
dude, that's what started on. We stood there for 4 years right next to y'all. And not
Yes.
once, we started some complaining, but Not once did y'all ever not trust us, and I think it, I like to think that it paid off, and hopefully, I'm trying to repeat the process, doing what we're doing here.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
we'll,
Absolutely.
we'll keep it up, man. And I really appreciate you coming on, Caleb. Like I said, we spoke before we went live. It's good to hear the stories of Cotulla athletes being big. A national championship, a national champion. That's not just a high five, man. You went and you competed against the best of the best, and you won it all, and you made a name for yourself, for your town, for your school, for your coach, your college teammates. So I mean, really proud of you. We've been seeing your journey through social media. Thanks to your mom. We can continue saying that. You're making Cotulla proud. Your story is still. We said it's still unfinished. There's still a lot of chapters left, and we're excited to see what you accomplish, and to say I don't think it's just Cotulla proud, man. I think you're making South Texas proud, and this whole area and region. So keep doing what you're doing, man. We look forward to you to seeing you grow.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited to see what I can do and where God will lead me.
Absolutely, man. Just trust his, walk his path, and he'll lead you to what you were always destined to be.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's all I had for you today, man. I appreciate you sticking it out for 2 hours. I know sometimes it might get rough. I don't know how you haven't drank anything. I'm over here suffering, drinking my sweet tea,
No, I'm
water.
good. No, yeah, yeah.
But man, thank you, Caleb. Appreciate you, man, and it was a
Yes,
pleasure
sir.
having you.
Absolutely. Yes,
We'll
sir. It's a
see you
pleasure
later,
being
dude.
on. Thank you. Yes,
Take care.
sir.
Keep us posted with those powerlifting meets and those links and all that stuff, man. I'd love to
Yes, sir.
put it on our. I don't know if I can put it on Facebook. If I can, I'll do it. If not,
Yes,
I know
yeah,
our
yeah.
channel can run it. Our
Yeah,
website. Our website can run
absolutely.
it.
Yes, sir. Yeah, the links are on YouTube, I usually post them like they usually come up about like a week before the meets or really a few days before the meet. So I usually post them on my page and tell them like what time I'll be lifting, central, whatever it is, and all that. All right. So I'll head to Arby's after this, then we'll get something to eat.
Hell yeah, man. All right. Well, thanks again, Caleb. Take
Yes,
care,
sir. Thank you
brother.
so much.
All right. And now, man, what an honor. Again, I like to say my final words. This sweet tea, okay. Um, you know, Caleb and his group of his classmates were I always preached about them, just them being my first group of younger kids, and all the other younger kids that I got to coach when I was in my early 20s. They were definitely a special group, and even the parents not once ever came up to us and told us it was too hard or we were too hard on them, and he even spoke about it. We had a military style camp. Me personally, I thought it was crazy. It ended up being a big benefit to these kids, and it's something that I haven't brought back, but it might be in the works. But this was definitely a good group, a fun group of kids, parents, relatives. The support there was insane, and I'm kind of seeing it, again, with our Pee Wee program, and I love it, and I love it. And I love the town that we come from and the support that we give each other. So, even on this podcast, thank you to everybody that watches, to the listeners, to everybody that tunes in, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. I'm still trying to figure out Instagram. It has something about a password key so all y'all that tune into these, I really appreciate it. And if you ever want to share it with somebody that doesn't have it, we have our YouTube page. Trying to share more clips of our podcast episodes. I think I finally made a TikTok. So it's all right, Caleb. So TikTok is there now. You can follow us. It's Cotulla.sports. AS, I think it might be. So, for all those that have TikTok, I'm going to try to figure out how to go live on there as well. Real quick, I just want to shout out, my brother-in-law, Nico. He actually sponsored our episode. If anybody like to reach out, Cafe de Amigos is his brand. He's currently going through a rebranding. He'll start having, his flavors posted on Instagram. You don't have social media, feel free to reach out to him to see what he's got available. So that way, if you're a big coffee drinker, this is some of the best stuff that I've had. Nothing on Black Rifle, but this one's better. So, if it's something that you're into and if you like coffee, please reach out to them. You won't do you wrong. Another thing, we're still with our fall registration. You go to www.cotullasports.com. You'll find the registration tab. Get these kids signed up. We're taking first through sixth graders. First and second graders play flag football. Third and fourth play our junior division. Fifth and sixth play our senior division for football. Volleyball, same thing. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. And cheer will start opening up soon for those that have asked about cheer. We're working on the final touches of the registration part, or on the website. It's been a little bit more difficult for us just trying to get everything lined out. So just please be patient with us. I promise it's coming. Right here we got another sponsor, small town big taste, Linares barbecue. You can't go wrong with them. I was telling Kaleb about it too before. I was like, man, y'all make some amazing barbecue, and the fact that it's right by my house just makes it that much easier to go and snack on it. They probably already know my order: cowboy nachos, both cheeses, no jalapenos with the sweet tea, and if Carmen's with me, a lemonade. So that's always there on the table for me, and I always appreciate them for that. And last but not least, our agility camp that we just held on July 6th, this past Sunday, was a real big success. For anybody that might be interested in, participating in the next one, reach out to us. And if there's something that we can, continue to bring and help out our students, go through those camps, we'd love to bring Mr. Fernando back with flash feet athletes. And then, bigger group or more kids in the older division would be, a more focused group for them. So, if that's something that y'all want, we just need to fill out those spots. Big shout out to my kiddos. They've been helping me decorate my background. We got these little plushies from Audi. We have, the Funkos from my wife. We got a little snow cone. I believe a watermelon. They gave me $1 for my birthday, so big shout out to them. And my dead last, I kind of didn't do great at fantasy football. I won't hide it. Hopefully it's a different year this year. But as far as it goes, thank you, Audi, Carmen, Tres, for allowing me to do this kind of stuff. And I know they have it playing. I can hear myself sometimes on their TVs, so they have it playing in the background. So I really appreciate them and love them. I think that's about it. Thank you, everybody who commented, who tuned in, who just reached out. I appreciate y'all. I forgot the music at the end. We could play it now, maybe, if it goes. No? Yes? Until next time, everybody keep working hard, chasing greatness, and representing where you're from with pride. We look forward to the future success. I look forward to having future athletes on here. Once the season starts up, we'll have more Pee Wee athletes. I can guarantee you that. And we'll be back with our spotlight interviews with those little kiddos. And hopefully we can get a preview of the upcoming seasons for our high school. Thanks again, everybody. And until next time, appreciate y'all.